Street? Girl in Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
There's a rumor going around that Tyler Perry and Oprah are beefing. Well, let me tell you about this. Tyler, okay, told Oprah, bitch, if you don't have my money, we're going to have a problem. Ooh. Oprah said, what is the problem? Ooh. You said if I don't have your money, there was going to be a problem. So Oprah is standing her ground like, bitch, I'm in charge. Yeah, you know, you may have a $250 million studio over there that you film all your shows and movies and stuff on, but I have the empire. That's what Oprah said.
Oh, these are her exact words. Allegedly.
I made this up. But
allegedly.
I made it all up. But there was a rumor that they were beefing. But Tyler confirms that they don't have any issues. So it says it was recently reported on the rumors that was swirling that the twosome were on the outs over constructive criticism of a Perry's show. Well, I got some constructive criticism, and we can be on the outs, Tyler, and I don't give a damn, because I'm going to make a promo out of this anyway and share it to your page. I need the scenes on Have and Have Nots to be like 5% shorter, each one. I want you to watch an episode of The Young and the Restless, because this is supposed to be a soap opera. No one's dialogue on The Young and the Restless is like this. You don't have to talk about the random plant in the corner for 25 minutes on one damn scene.
They talk about random plants. It was a blood stain on the floor for 5 episodes. I can't take it. We need to kick this up. I'm sorry. I love the Have and the Have Nots, and I continue to watch it in its 5th season, but I get so mad when I can go get myself a glass of water and come back and he had just started the next sentence in his first paragraph. I can't stand it. They just want to get the point across.
It's not but you don't get the point for 4 episodes. It's too much. So, now according to ET Online reports, Tyler Perry has a pre-cut and dried response to a pretty cut and dry response to the rumors about him and Oprah. Here's what he says. It's completely false.
What was that? That was your Tyler Perry impression? Oh God. What?
That was my Medea voice.
Oh, gotcha.
Nothing is accurate in this article except for mine and Oprah's names. That's what he said. I mean, you see what I mean? You gotta stick around. I mean, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. I mean, they pay us to do this. So we go off every week right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Starts now.
Hey, what's up, and welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show live on BeExposedRadio.com. So by the end of the summer, I would have gotten over my nerves in terms of going in for my final consultation for the dentist. I've developed a list because my teeth are moving. On my father's side, I've inherited bad teeth. And I am struggling because I hear the lisp, and it's hard. I don't like talking anymore because I have to overly articulate. And this is taking me back because I had a speech problem when I was younger.
Or at least you still have face.
So, welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. I hope everybody had an awesome 4th of July. I attempted to go to the harbor and be a part of the repertoire.
He did not.
But I don't do heat. I don't do heat. And I'm thankful for heat because, you know, we could be living in Iceland somewhere. But I'm a spring baby, and I love spring weather, cool breeze, rain. I'm not really partial to it, but I love it because it cools things down. But for some reason, this rain is making it hot. It drizzled for seconds today. Like, what is that? Come on, rain if you go rain. But we're here on the Artist Exchange on the 5th of July. I have a special birthday shout out that I'm going to do in the second segment. But in this segment, I just wanted to go over some things. First of all, thank you to everybody who continues to support the show and bring in many good blessings and vibes to the show. In being 6 years into this, it has gotten frustrating, it's been lovely, it's been awesome, it's been draining, it's been everything in the basket. But I am really ready to really take things to another level. And I said that last year, but this year, taking it to a next level is really incorporating many different aspects of not only arts and entertainment, but community, activism, as well as entrepreneurship. We'll be this summer, hopefully, working with some mentees and the capacity of helping them to develop their own form of storytelling by way of radio. I also have been working and speaking with a number of theater companies and playwrights to turn our show also once a month. We've done it before in doing some live reading. In school I studied the origin of radio and radio theater, and that's one of the aspects that I initially started the show with. But things change, people change, and plans change. So I really am happy that we are in a space right now where we can do that and work. So if you are a playwright, if you are an actor, if you are a theater company and you want to work with the Artist Exchange Radio Show and making that happen, and you can definitely hit me up at the Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com. Also, we'll be doing a number of workshops in conjunction with the Field Center this summer. So look out for that. We're looking for some special populations of people to do some storytelling and helping to build not only the content for the Artist Exchange, but the content for the Field Center, which, if you don't know, is an awesome museum for artists of all backgrounds to come with a platform of storytelling and kind of showcasing who you are. We have Mr. Blue, Brother Noah, over here to my right.
Hey y'all, it's TDIF. Happy Friday. Made me drop my phone.
Yeah,
I was so excited. And for my Hispanics out there, Feliz 4 de Julio. Happy 4th of July. Well, happy 4th of July, belated 4th of July. I am still celebrating for 4th of July, actually. So.
Well, some people may be mad at you because I sent out a happy 4th of July last night. And, some of my friends are so woke that they responded with, I'd rather say happy Juneteenth, that's over. And actually, that's a made-up holiday because you technically wasn't free on that day. So, who's more woke?
Well, regardless of that, not to dibble and dabble in the deepness of it, we are on this land, and this land that we are on, it just so happens to be the bitch's birthday, so.
Well, and especially if you live in Baltimore, we were kind of like the epicenter for a lot of America's fighting and freedom and all those things. And I understand, like religion, like religion, but a lot of these things were not orchestrated by us. But like Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, I use those times for what they were quote unquote intended for.
Which is?
Being with your family, being united, really, being thankful. The 4th of July is definitely our celebration that transitions us into the summertime. And I use it as a celebratory because many of my family members are veterans. And I use that moment to kind of celebrate them and give them their pause. We take a lot of things from ourselves and us trying to separate ourselves from white America. And I think we do ourselves a disjustice because we built this country. We built this country. Nothing else to be said, period. We built it. So we need to celebrate our ancestors. And I think we've gotten so far away from who we are and where we come from in us trying to separate ourselves. We can't recreate history. And I think many of us are trying to erase history as the other side is trying to erase history. We can't. We have to make people remember. And our young people need to know our history. And celebrating 4th of July is just about family. Take everything else away from it. And make it your own tradition. Like really recreate it. Make them really mad.
So for the woke folks, thank you guys. No. Thank you guys for constantly keeping us aware, keeping us focused. But at the same time, we should value any opportunity to spend time with friends, family, and a joyous occasion.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break. So call up a family member. We got 5 minutes. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show only on BigExposedRadio.com.
Yeah, I heard that.
With caution, tired of lane, I'm exhausted. Papa Zanny's ass sipping out the faucet. I'm confused, don't know what I'm doing. Wait, what I'm doing? Got me going where the I'm going. Out of space where I'm going. Wait, where I'm going? Wait, where I'm going? Out of space where I'm going. Out of space where I'm going. I'll be up.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com.
I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out.
And exactly.
Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature. And I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do. And I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, and I was thinking, like,
the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
White keys only have this bitch jumping.
Okay. If I sit around, hold up. Look. If I sit around, hold up. Yeah. Rebel. Let's do it.
If I sit around, I'ma smoke some more. Wasn't even thinking about smoke before, but I'm in my head, I'm in the bed. Don't know who I am, like I'm wearing a mask. Working mode, tell them where the cash. If you wear the cash, tell them where the cash. If you playing for you, gon' run it back. Don't make promises, but I promise that. Don't promise me, cause I ain't into that. Fell in love with that and got hurt from that. That was all over in the curtains back.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Had he been nicer, he would probably got what he needed from somebody else that we know. Because I'm friends with that person,
so the operative word for the summer is nice.
Nice. Real. Don't be nice if you don't feel it. So you can get yourself and your aura together and not practice that. When I don't feel it, I'm not going to want to be around people. But I'm not a mean person. I've been called difficult for the last 4 years. And I start being difficult when I start saying no to the people who were using me and using my talents. And when you start saying no to those types of people. Can you hear me, Aldo?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're kind of low.
Okay. So I started being called difficult amongst those people. So to me, it didn't really matter. But I'm not going to be fake with Tony. But I didn't want to talk about that in this segment. This segment is geared towards my grandmother and me acknowledging who she was in my life. My great-grandmother, hold on. Can you hear me now? So my great-grandmother, her name is Marie Elizabeth Wilson. She would have been 19 today. And no, she would have been 94. Yeah, she would have been about 115 today. And surprisingly, her mother lived to be 117.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I just assumed she would always be here. Because her mother died, who I didn't get to meet, but my mother met her, lived to be 117. And it used to be a moment where I couldn't talk about her, and it would make me sad and make me, because she lived with my mother before I was even born, so I didn't know life without her. And I remember coming home, and I don't tell this story often, but I remember coming home one day. And you ever been in a space where everything that you do that day is kind of leading you in one direction, whether that's the direction you were intended to go to or not. So that day, I was about to be 15 in high school, and everything about that day, wrestling practice was canceled, my after school job had to close down that day. Shout out to the health department for closing down workplace environments. Wrestling practice, my job, theater practice, the drama club, our play rehearsal was canceled that day. One of the upperclassmen offered me a ride home, which never happens in high school.
Right.
But I was cool like that. So I got a ride home. I got home extra early that day, extremely early. And I remember coming home, and my room was right across the hall from my great-grandmother's room. And my grandmother was in there. When I got in there, she was cleaning up. And normally when I get home, everybody's eating already and all that. And I knew it was still early, so I asked my great-grandmother, said, "You want me to fix you something to eat?" I was, my routine was come home, make some tuna fish, go sit down, get my books out, start doing my homework. So I asked her, did she want something to eat? She didn't respond. So I said, I'm gonna just make me some coffee. She could drink coffee 24 hours a day. So I knew she would want the coffee. And she hadn't been eating like that well. Nothing was particularly wrong with her. She was 94, so, it happens. So I went to go make my lunch and make her some coffee. And I heard my grandmother call out for me and asked me to come and help her put Granny in the bed. So I come in, I'm, lifting her in the bed, and I remember saying to her, "Can you help me?" Because she wasn't helping me or anything. And I put her in the bed, and I put her feet over, and it didn't dawn on me that she wasn't helping me at all. She wasn't doing anything. And even at 94, we had to watch her, so that's why her bedroom was on the first floor. And she could move around, but everything was with time and patience. Yeah. So I didn't notice she wasn't doing anything. And mentally I wasn't prepared for her to get old. Yeah. And not be able to do anything for herself. And I looked at her face, and her eyes had turned completely gray. Wow. And her mouth was gaped open. And I remember looking at my grandmother and just knowing in that moment, okay, you gotta do something. So I called the police. I went through my grandmother's little black book and started calling everybody. And I think that day I grew up, and I learned that I am a leader in that I take charge when things are going wrong. I know how to do stuff. And that was the first day that I ever knew that about myself. Wow. And I've lived that ever since then. Wow. But my great-grandmother passed away that day, and I never forget just how crazy it felt, because you just think, even our parents, we don't see our parents get older until maybe something happens. Absolutely. And I just thought she would be here forever. Even today, I am 30-some years old. I thought my great-grandmother would still be here at 115-some years old. And it's our selfishness that we have as young people, but we have to acknowledge it and understand life isn't always what we expect for it to be. But I wanted to give her that shout out on today and give her a lot of kudos for just making me who I am today, and encouraging me rather than making me, encouraging me to be who I am and be just the young man that I am. I was her favorite, so I kind of, gotta give her that. But I just wanted to give my grandmother a big shout out, thank you, for today, and say a really good happy birthday to her and all the other birthdays for July the 5th. I know this time of year things get rushed through, and we always in a celebratory mode right now, but I wanted to give her that special note today. So we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to get to the topic at hand when we get back from our break. So don't go anywhere. The Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
My name is Ruth Rusi. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old, and this is how I live united. I say retired, but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child, and believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusey. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
My name is Meera Batra. I have been in this country 32 years, and this is how I live united. America has always been the land of promise, and in my community many families have come for a better life. Coming from another culture myself, I know the desire to become part of a community, to feel at home and to gain the tools for our children and families to succeed. So I advocate for these families with United Way. United Way empowers them to look beyond their histories and to see what opportunities are available. We help them get involved with their kids' schools, network within the community, and when we do, we unite them. We make the community stronger. What I do is something I wish someone had done for me, and I am so grateful I am able to. My name is Meera Batra. I help families see opportunities and succeed. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away
Just a
at
good outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles. Right. They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back. This is Nate, host of the Artist Exchange Radio Show here, only live on BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host today, Nate Couser, and we got Brother Noah over here to my right. He's hanging in there.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
I put people to work. Don't ever tell me you want to do something because...
And don't ever accept his offer either, because he will put you to work either way.
Yeah. I'm being dead serious with people. You gotta be ready. You gotta be on it. And I've just learned how to. All I know is how to work, and that's that can sometimes be difficult for people because I'm learning how to not put me on you. I'm really my secondary goal in life is to rid the world of expectations. Expectations get us into a lot of trouble because not only am I trying to think for you, I'm trying to control you instead of letting you be who you are. And that's in relationships, that's in our work life, that's in just how we communicate, our interpersonal skills. We expect for you to do X, Y, Z. And if you have expectations, hey, that's who you are, I'm not judging. But be able to give what you're expecting out of other people. That's a big problem that I'm seeing. All these expectations, and you have nothing to give to that person other than taking up their space.
Because expectations is easy. You can always expect somebody to be this perfect being, this perfect whatever you want, this crafted, cookie cutter shaped insensate being that doesn't exist. But That's a fantasy. When it comes to the real world, those who have the most expectations are those who really aren't happy with themselves because they can't ascertain.
They're looking to be saved. They're looking for somebody to do the work for them.
Absolutely.
And they're not willing to put in any of their dreams. That's like wanting to go out to eat, but expecting for somebody to call you to invite you out to eat.
Yep.
As if I can read your mind. As if I am in charge of your well-being.
As if you have any friends. Plain and simple.
That is another problem. But we're going to talk a little bit today about just the art scene and many of the issues that go on, like having expectations that somebody is going to just write you a blank check for your dreams. Wrong. Because even people who it seems that is happening for them, imagine the work that they had to put in to get to that point. But our first segment, we were talking at the top of the show about art, and can you grade art? My answer is no. You can grade technique, you can grade consistency, you can grade execution, you can grade overall quality, but you can't grade art as it is. Like that painting sucks. I give that an F. You can have an opinion, so that may suck to you, but the art itself doesn't suck. I just don't see it. I just feel that way. I think about the splatter, and there are many variations of the splatter now. And many people are like, I can do this. This sucks. Why is this $5 million? And in terms of being performers, we were talking more about performance art. And can you share the experience without telling the names? You watched something this weekend.
I personally think no. I think that you can grade art.
How?
Because there are people who their jobs is to literally critique actors and plays and shows and give feedback, and then theater goers read those feedback to see am I going to go or not.
But often those critics are not actors themselves. So they're grading something on their perspective of what they saw.
As an audience member, as a theater goer.
As simply an audience member.
And which is the majority of the audience.
But you're not grading art at that point. You can, and the problem that I have with critics in this world that we're living in now, people are using that to determine whether or not they like it. So whether they even saw it with their own eyes or ears.
It's a parallel ideology that's happening here. When it comes to the artist itself, producing things in the world for their peers, for other artists,
right?
I will give you can't grade it. I will give you can't grade it because their art, even though they may not follow the same technique, may not have the same formal training, their art produces a feel-good for the audience members. The audience gravitates towards them.
Right.
When it comes to a critic, I think that they have every right to grade art.
What right do they have?
They have right to grade art because they are the eye. They are the first eye for the majority of the theater goers.
Not, and I think
as two frankly,
black artists that are sitting
they
here,
are grading the art experience.
But as two black artists from Baltimore,
whore.
That has been used against us. Not us in particular, but as black artists in our community, in our art community. That attitude has been used to keep us from getting grants, from keeping us from being able to play in certain parts of the community, in certain venues, in certain organizations. We've been kept out of conversations in terms of what classical work is, what good art is. That's why I say nobody should have that type of power that determines that your work is good or not. We both have performed at arena plays. Now we both can say the quality of the production doesn't always meet the talent on stage and doesn't always meet the quote-unquote standard of what a production should be. But does that take away the talent? Overall, maybe yes.
Now, when it comes to a show, be it dance, singing, or theater, there are a multitude of aspects that come to creating the final product. So, just to piggyback off of what you were just saying, yeah, the singing could be terrible, the production quality could be shitty, but the talent is so amazing. You will never ever forget that play, and you've seen 100 plays on Broadway. That right there is why I would trust the critic, because if it's really good, if it's a really, really good play, the critic will say as such. Now the critic will dive into your ass and say that actor or the director needs to go back to school and blah 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 blah. But the critic will also give a claim to the art of it. So yes, I understand what you're saying. That art, that feel good, that awe-inspiring, that makes the audience leave out of that play and think on it, and it changed the trajectory of their life. That art, that essence, cannot be graded, because that is changing per the individual. But as far as the production itself, I need a grade for that.
And that's what I said, but that's not the art, though.
It is the art.
Production.
It is the art.
That's the production of it. That's how the art is seen. But it's not the art. So I can't say you are a bad actor. I cannot come to a show and say you are a bad actor. In my opinion, I don't enjoy your acting. But what I just said is, I just labeled your career as an actor. Not maybe this one performance, because this person may come to see this and see something totally
What if I'm
different.
a bad actor? What if I'm a caricature? I'm just over the top, really horrible.
But that is more so on the side of the actor having to determine that and having to go through that. You know whether you put your all into this. You know whether you're natural born for this. You know whether you did what you were supposed to do. The director can see that. So if the director let that go on stage, that's more of a director's no than an actor's no. Because the actor did what they thought, this is what I'm supposed to do. Right?
I would disagree
If an
with
actor
that,
lets that bad acting go on stage, isn't that more of a reflection of the direction than it is the actor?
I say it could be a reflection of... No, because what if your acting is terrible,
but you're not an actor alone.
But for this particular role, you have the look and like the attitude and the shitty personality that I need. So even though I can't get a technique from you,
that won't make that role great, because you have the personality for it. Because that means you don't have the stamina for this. Because what are you going to do on performance number 2? Will it be the same? Will it be the same? That's the problem that I have with this world.
Is any performance ever the same as far as live theater?
Well, it varies based on what the reaction from the audience is in theater terms, but it should still be the same foundation of that character that's been built over the course of rehearsal. It should not deviate from that, because then that's unprofessional. Because this audience deserves the same show that your director prepared.
So to go back to your initial argument of you can't grade art, how would we...
You can grade technique. Like I said, you can grade technique. You can grade overall quality. You can grade execution.
How they see us. The Netflix show about the Central Park 5 kids. I believe when I have 5 people telling me you gotta see this, Noah, and they're giving me whatever stood out to them, they're grading that art to the point where five people have seen this piece of art.
Yes.
It has grabbed them. It has grabbed them in a way so much that they are now telling me, "Hey, I like this movie so much. It is so good."
But see, I don't like that, because I had 5 people tell me I need to go see a Tyler Perry movie once.
Was it good?
No, it wasn't good. And that's what I'm saying. So what you get out of this doesn't determine what I'll get out of it. So people like these critics that we have in the city, I've seen them grade this better than they grade this, if they come out for this at all. I've had situations personally where I remember I just did the last production that I directed, Blueprints. I had a young lady who stumbled by our show. Come to find out, she was Angela Carroll. She's a writer for Be More Art magazine. She did a phenomenal write-up on, like, literally, I wanted to tip her. Because I was like, you saw that in it? Not that I didn't see that in it, but somebody who wasn't connected to this and didn't live and breathe it, how can you find that same connection? And then I got in my head, like, this is what this production does to people. And I had some lukewarm responses to that because it wasn't somebody I called. I didn't call her and ask her for this. And then it was an object, well, she's a black woman, so she got it. You know, maybe that's, you know, because she never gives this specific place that type of criticism, like that return on what she found in it. And I was angry because I was like, so you saying she wasn't honest? Or are you saying because you don't like my work, then you devalue what she had to say about it? So I'm lukewarm about...
I think in the world of variety, which has been forever, grading is essential. Because I'll leave it on this example. You have, let's see, I thought we were going to play. You have Fences and you have Cats. Both equally good, both phenomenal plays. I think award-winning plays. A critic sits down and watches them both. He gives Cats an A, and he gives Fences, let's say, like a C-, right? I would trust in his. You would? I would trust in that because whatever, you know, he's a critic, and whatever audience members trust him, they go and they see it. I would trust
as an audience member. You still
as an audience
most
member.
Most of these critics are just audience
Absolutely.
members. They haven't studied theater. They haven't studied, and we're specifically talking about theater, but
yes,
just art in general.
If we were to change the panel and make sure that there are working artists who are critics, I would definitely want at least, if it was 5, I want 2 of them to be regular non-artist folk.
And I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, even when they critique a piece of work, so let's continue this conversation. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here as I am right in this argument. But we'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com.
To find who we really are, crash into something new, take a break from my broken heart. Talk with the hip, tell me you lie, I think we should go for another round. Baby, try not to say too much, let your love come down. If you wanna rule, there's some rules you gotta live by, live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move, don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song, be my radio. And if you follow me there, I'll follow you back. Let the night unfold. I can tell that she can't get enough, show enough, she couldn't. Feels so for me, oh no, she couldn't. Feels so for me. Touching hands till we dance in the dark, show enough, she couldn't. Feels so for me. We do whatever you like. Feels so for me, oh no, she couldn't. Feels so for me. You and me alone.
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. So no matter what you up to, go hard. Don't matter. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, that's cause my father dead. Mom's bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke because your mother was a crackhead. Older sister hoeing off, giving all the homies head.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Often the producers are not directors. They haven't been actors. They may have been, but that wasn't their forefront.
Right.
Their forefront was money and making money. So often, and we're seeing this now in our open market system of entertainment and the arts now, that anybody can have a platform to sell art. And we've seen stuff that don't look like, that we've never seen before, that came out of nowhere, that somebody decided to go back and dig something up or bring something out of obscurity and bring it to light. And we're like, oh man, but that person been doing this whole time.
So
my example, so I want to take us out of the theater for a second.
Okay.
My art example would be the young lady who did the Michelle Obama portrait.
Okay, yeah.
So
Micah grad.
She was in Baltimore and she was doing that thing. It was real lukewarm about her. Nobody really said her name until Michelle Obama picked her. Yeah. She handpicked her out of everything. Nobody liked what she did. Nobody liked her work. Nobody thought it was good. You know, you had 1,000 artists all of a sudden who don't talk. You know, artists don't normally talk to people. Talking on social media, creating their own version of what they wanted Michelle Obama's portrait to look like. But nobody took into consideration Michelle Obama liked it. And this was this young lady's aesthetic. This is what she did.
So there are two sections here then. Me being on many aspects of the creative side, and we were just saying that the differences: producer, director, actor, stage manager,
right,
costumer,
and all of those different jobs are looking at this project from a different eye.
And it's a very spiritual aspect, because the essence of us being artists, producing creativity that brings, either it comes from joy or pain, the inner workings of us, and putting it in a creative platform and putting it out there for the zeitgeist and for the world forever and ever be in, that cannot be graded. I'll give you that. That cannot be graded because that changes. Graded. Sorry, that cannot be graded because that is per person. And just what you said, nobody liked her art, but Michelle did. That's why her portrait is in the White House now.
So whether you can say it was good or bad or not, it was good enough to be an official
because
portrait.
Michelle liked that.
Right, and that's
the
what I'm
essence
saying.
Of that is
so
that
had
good.
Michelle did which one of you liked the best, she wouldn't have been picked.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with her work.
Yeah.
It would have been a bunch of artists thinking that they should have been chosen. I should be up there. I can do this. And the angle that I'm coming from this argument, this topic today, can you grade art? So today's topic is, if you're just coming on board, can you grade art? The reason I have an issue with people who feel like they can grade art is because black art has been marginalized and taken off of the main table for many years, unless it's a part of the grant. bottom line of a grant. For many years, our faces, our voices, our perspective has been taken back or pushed to the side. We see that in, I'll just say our perspective has always been taken off of the table. And that hurts me because I know many of us are talented. It is one piece that I'm working on now. Like, I know how good it is. If people would just get out and see it, and once they see it, they love it. And I see many of us.
And what if that's not?
That situation.
And what if that's not the case? What if you, honestly, the person who's in the play, feel that people can see it? What if you actually get the promotion and the exposure? People come and they hate it. What then?
Well, I know that not to be true, only because of the message that's attached to it. And it's a message that is.
What if they don't like the delivery, like that? I mean, the message is good.
And I'm one of those people that will always tell myself and many other artists, if you can be as great as you want to be, but you can't expect everybody to like what it is that you're doing. I am that person. I am constantly saying that. Not everybody gonna like your work. Not everybody is going to respect your work. Whether they like it or not has nothing to do with it. Not everybody's going to respect your work. Not everybody's going to value your work. Not everybody's going to put the same love into your work. And that could be for any number of reasons. We know amongst artists, I don't like your work because I would rather somebody come see my work. You know, audience members, what makes me laugh? What makes me feel good?
What joggles
and
my
art
emotions?
Doesn't always make you feel good. Right. Sometimes art makes you go inside yourself.
Absolutely.
And see things that you don't like to see. So I don't like that. I don't like, we attach the wrong things to whether something's good or not. And I don't even say the wrong things. We attach our insecurities to what we like and don't like. And that's the basis of this argument. So I'm going to switch a little bit and I'm going to bring up the new Ariel. So more so some issues within the arts community, colorism. There's a huge backlash on this young lady who is playing the Ariel for, I guess, the new live version of The Mermaid. And the problem is they feel like she's a white character. So how is it that this she looks more mixed, but this person of color will be able to step into her Ariel role? Simultaneously, for the same production, Melissa McCarthy is going to play Ursula. Now that is said to have been a black character or based on a black character. Well, it said it was based on a white drag queen, but we've always saw that as the one black character outside of Sebastian in this piece.
It just so happened to be the villain.
Right, and the villain, and she was purple. Like, so we always.
And she had like that like grandma body, like that, them big hips, that she had that.
You know who I always saw when I saw Ursula? I don't know if you remember, but Winona Rock.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that's who I always, that was my teacher, so that's who I thought. Because she had like the different color hair, like that's who I saw being. I don't know if Ms. Rock could sing, but that's who I saw her being. But, so we're going to take another quick commercial break. We'll be right back here in the second hour of the show, only on the Artist Exchange Radio Show. So don't go anywhere. Be back.
Join the club that gives you stuff.
Hey, thanks!
Radio Loyalty.
Here's how it works.
Just click on the Radio Loyalty banner right now and sign up. Then, you keep on listening like you already do. But now you earn points. Those points add up, and you can trade them in for stuff in the Radio Loyalty store. Earn more points by sharing your station with friends on Facebook and Twitter, answering surveys, and by using the apps in the New Players App Store. Pretty simple, right?
Radio Loyalty.
Click that banner to join now.
Take a minute and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Any trouble, because I get into any trouble, but I had a problem that this then became a discussion at that workplace environment. Now, the discussion was I should have been more sensitive. In what way was my first response? And I guess when I had to meet with that said person who had the issue with the person who was said leader of that organization.
Okay.
I said, well, to that person, how would I have known that? Well, you should have asked.
I think so. You want my opinion?
It was a circle, and I was willing to go on that merry-go-round.
You are better than most.
Yeah.
I think that's normal when you're in a group and there's norming. Most of the time when you're in new work environments or you're in a space where you're getting to know people, it's normal now to ask for people's preferred pronouns. You wouldn't have known that.
Normal to who? What is normal?
Well, you work in social... You work in social innovation and
my pronouns, so it's not normal to me.
You don't, but I think, because I feel like the person was probably offended because they felt like you were not honoring whoever they are, right? But you wouldn't have known that.
Still to this moment, I don't know.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Audience based. Have you ever had a director that was more of an audience member? And their notes to you was as if they were audience members.
Definitely. Yeah,
how you doing, Dr. Ayat? But how you...
but he called me the other day too. They're trying to recruit me to come.
Okay. But that's that's an example of an audience member. So you've been directed. Well, I don't think you have been directed by him. But as when he would come in and sit in rehearsals, no, he hasn't directed anything.
No, it was Jordan that did Risen in the Sun.
Oh, that's like an elementary school teacher. But critiquing you. But so like a director that is an audience member director.
Yes.
That you're not getting any real solid advice in terms of moving forward with this. You're getting, I'm not amused by this. So
act more.
Act more.
Give me more emotion in your legs.
Real. Yeah, exactly. So that's like your mom coming and giving you a critique on, her seeing all these actors over a course of time and giving you notes. You're like, Mom,
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Just keep buying tickets. But that's what when people come to see your show and they kind of give you, like, I really like that actor over there, but you realize that actor just made them laugh. So it wasn't that that actor was so good, but they made you laugh.
Now to answer this question, for myself, I do it for myself because I love to express the inner workings of my mind, which are an enigma, through characters. However, just as far as who are we acting for? I want to hear it. And if you think it's shitty,
but I don't believe it should be law. That's the problem that I have with and this argument is based on cultures in the art and how I've personally seen people do their work. More non-black people get up and do their work, and it's so a group of people that I've been working with, and we aren't working on the same project, but we work with in the same company. And those individuals, one of the reasons that I remember they came by one day and it was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't come to your work, but I come see your show, but I had to go see a friend's show, and they had worked so hard for it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's your friend. I'm not going to knock you. But it was just they worked so hard for it. They had put so much into it. And I was like, okay. Oh, okay, that's cool. And then other comments were more so in the vein of, I just didn't think it was for me. I didn't think it was about me or... and the show basically was about somebody's grandmother. And it was a black experience, but critics, the idea of what a critic is to me now, I don't trust in it. Because not only do I have to ask you to come to this? But you often are getting in for free. And those things are kind of insignificant, but it matters to me because I like a critic that will buy a ticket and come see something. I value their opinion just a tad bit more. It's still not law to me, but the idea of you saying this piece was good and this piece wasn't, without any, I like critics that don't give me a like or dislike, but they go through and they kind of examine the highlights of the piece and they kind of go through the characters and kind of pinpoint. That I value because then I'm seeing that they're looking at the work and they're not looking at the audience responding to this.
Well, as an audience critique member, I would appreciate a level of grading when it comes to a variety of plays, because there are at least 50 plays happening in July right now.
Right.
So maybe if I were to compare two plays, one play is like a one-man play that's very dramatic and going into the inner machinations of his life and shit. Another play is a happy-go-lucky musical. Maybe the dramatic one gets a B and the music one gets an A because the A one gets us more uplifting and things, and that's what the folks want to see over the summertime. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
But does that make the piece that's more thought-provoking
less, like, because it's got a B, you would feel that it's less, but I don't see it as that. I see it as that A is because it's a happy-go-lucky family time thing like that. This is an audience type of play. This is the A.
But are we grading that up?
Hell yes. Hell yeah.
Because it's not those things.
These Baltimore critics, as you said earlier, are audience-based. They are grading it for the audience. Which one are the majority is going to see? Maybe as our art scene, as it's ever changing.
I think it's attempting to speak to an audience and not necessarily sway an opinion, but the attempt to market what they're doing. That's what I see. I don't see you really looking at this piece. I've seen critics come into a production late and slander a piece. So it's really, and that's not all of them. That's like a small percentage of them.
And I've seen, and recently for the Variations projects that I've just done, I have seen actors who are, I don't want to say terrible, but just, it was just a lot of nerves. It's just they wasn't on their best foot for the entire thing. And critics see that, recognize it,
but
and
is that
still,
bad acting
and
or is that
still,
bad directing?
And still do that, and still.
But you still
give
don't.
grace to the production.
But that was filtered through a director first. So I blame a lot of things on directing before I blame the acting.
For that particular case, it wasn't the director, because what happened in rehearsal, that's why I used the word nerves. Because what happened in rehearsal, the actor was great, but when it came to the actual show, it just fell apart. And so that's why I use the word nerves.
Okay.
But that particular, I mean, like to the point where it kind of brought down the value of the production. However, that critic, because of the essence of the art, the feel that the play gave, the critic gave grace to that. I mean, of course, they mentioned the actor's nervousness, but it was glanced over.
But they were able to see that being a problem. So I don't, and that's why I don't. You can grade execution, you can grade overall quality of a production. But the art in something, what someone put into it, what it was intended to be, what it is, I don't believe you can grade that. I think you can grade the technical aspects of something and not the actual art of it. And I say this because I'm a visual artist. I can design, like put stuff together. I remember taking an art class, and I don't know her name because I would shout her out. She's a bad teacher. Ceramics. I took a ceramics class, and compared to everybody else, I think I was doing the same thing. And because I was the artist in the room, she graded my work harshly versus everybody that was taking this as a GER class. And she came by and she balled my work up and she told me to start all over again. Now, if you know Nate, that don't work for me because I went off. But I wouldn't have went off now at this age, but at 23, I went off. And it was more so she was grading my art based on what she wanted to see and not the technique that she was teaching us. So when your first basic techniques of ceramics is doing a cylinder. So it's just creating a cylinder, and you're normally building like just a regular vase, not anything ornate. It's a circular vase. And that's the basic technique of just learning how to build on. And I was doing it, but it didn't look how, and I think mine actually looked better than some of the people who wasn't artists or whatever. But because I was an artist, she graded me differently. And I was so pissed off at that. I was like, because I got your technique, it just didn't come out the way you thought it should come out. And the only reason I brought this up today was one of the things, because that was your response at the top of the show, but I'm just curious as to, do you see that being a problem that we're getting in return? Like people not being able to see
on the overall scope of it, when it comes to the colorism and our theater scene in Baltimore City, it is absolutely correct. You cannot grade our art. So because grading the art is cutting our access off, and it's getting. I mean, the entire the DMV area. Like we could be getting way more audience members from Philly, DC, and Virginia than we are now.
But the overall consensus is it's not good.
It's not for us. It's not.
Or they'll go to the Hippodrome where they brought something in, or Center Stage where they brought actors in to see something versus quality work that's being done across the board.
Troy Burton's a real nigga show.
Right.
That is a very thought-provoking show. I think that's
sells out every time.
Sells out every time.
Yep.
That needs to be like a Hippodrome thing. I mean that's just one show. There are many of other local towns that deserves to be.
But he won't change the name.
If the name don't need to be changed.
Well, but we know that.
But for the critics, that's not for them.
It's too much.
It's too much. I can't do it.
It's too much.
But isn't that art itself?
Market that word.
That is art.
And it's not like he's a white man creating that show.
Right.
But that's from hearing from him, that's been the number one problem.
Yeah.
He won't change the name of it. And for me, that's where my argument. If you didn't see that before, that's the side that my argument is coming from.
Oh no, I'm just playing that position.
Because our stuff, and I understand, but a lot of our work is. We have to water it down. And I've noticed working with working with other theater companies, you will see like this what y'all do. So y'all shit being held up with duct tape too, right? And it's just seen as more prestigious, more valuable.
Even by our own black actors. Because we could have been collectively come together and made something to make it add prestige.
We've already done it.
With our own eyes.
But we don't, and I see a lot of black actors that go to white theater companies now, and they live there.
Yes.
They come to our place to get the season.
Gobble on the nearest ball to get a residency there. Yes.
I've seen that happen physically with my own eyes. But I'm just saying. But that's been my, and it's an internal issue that I see amongst us because we don't value our work. And I've seen people come to arena players and complain about, how the temperature used to feel like it did outside or whatever that it used to be. But we'll still go through and go to another theater company that is in an abandoned warehouse building or in the basement of a church. And it amazes me what we're willing to put up with when it's other versus our own. And the grading of art, I don't see Shakespeare being more important than August Wilson. I just don't.
Well,
if Shakespeare was around at the same time as August Wilson, vice versa, their work would be on the same page.
Absolutely. Shakespeare's plays is just relevant because it gives the slang and the stories of the time.
So what's the difference between August Wilson and him?
It's just that white folks, the majority of the white
we do it though.
census started with them.
If you wasn't trained
started
as a
with them,
Shakespearean
and then
actor,
us still with the. I mean, regardless of the art, the black identity crisis in America is still trying to catch up with them, and now we're focused on the art part of it. Where they had it first, they gobbled on Shakespeare's dick and follow along the thing.
What's this gobbling?
Now, I don't know. I've been saying that word a lot today, just in general. No, it's not. It's,
no,
it
but
is my word for the day.
And that's kind of where this perspective, thank you, that's kind of where this perspective came from me, because how do we value what we do? And I know it's going to take a lot of us respecting who we are as individuals before we can respect something, because I've seen people just do stuff on our side of the art so they can fill up a resume, or to get closer to a specific person who they think can get them somewhere else. Or I've seen people who only do work from other people because they know critics are going to come out to see that, and they're not going to come to this playhouse to see that.
And it's also a level of this, going back to the identity, just our perception as black people, our belief. We don't believe that our shows will be good enough.
Right.
If I do this show with you, with my brother and my sister, and it's not going to give me the acclaim. People aren't going to come. It's not going to give me the access. But if I do it at this abandoned warehouse, but because this producer is white and he just so happened to have a cocktail with this other guy from New York, I'm going to take a chance with him, and I don't get paid in the rehearsals of every day and blah, 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 blah.
So we're going to go take a break, so go gobble on something.
Gobble!
We'll be back in the radio show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Oh, you a turkey.
You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. So deeply wounded, but don't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. So you just sit there and you suffer in silence. Your pride won't let you just uncover your secret. Don't wanna look weak in your image, it ain't worth losing. So you just act as if it's nothing happening. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. Suicidal, depressed, but you won't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. You feel alone even though the people surround you. Popping pills every night even though you know they can't solve it. The emotional pain, it just seems way too heavy. Your mind is racing, wanna scream, somebody help me.
Hi, I'm LeVar Burton, and I'm proud to be a book person. How do I choose a book? Sometimes it's the cover, sometimes it's the title. I guess I'm pretty visual. If a book's really impressing me and the writing is really good, I will peek and see what the last paragraph is, because the endings of books should rock you. I am a book person, and if you're a book person too, read to a child and spark a lifetime of ambition. Join me at bookpeopleunite.org, because reading is fundamental. A public service announcement brought to you by Reading is Fundamental, Library of Congress, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
The famine pieces, and I was like, this is not even you can't compare the work. But again, the people who were grading it did not look like us, did not feel like we did not see what we saw. And that's what this became, thank you, that's when this became an issue for me to have critics. Like, we don't have a lot of black critics in this community.
Nope.
That's why when I met the young lady from Be More Art magazine, shout out to Angela, I was relieved, because I knew, because of where we were, critics were going to come by. But I was so nervous because she got instantly what it was. And because of that, other people began to look and want to come out and see the production. That's what angered me. That's what frustrated me. That's what took me to another level of, like, why do we have to be co-signed for people to take our work as black artists or people of color serious?
Because we're still in racist, residual, capitalist America. It is a terrible fact. It is horrible. It's disgusting, but it is so. And it is in every aspect of our lives, from finances to art, to schooling to whatever.
Right.
And it really, what will change it is our perception. Because the white
that sounds so easy, but
no. It is the hardest thing, because it's literally going on your side and realizing and deprogramming yourself. Really going in there and burning the trash out of your soul and taking the time to do so.
Because even for me, theater up into the end of high school was white theater. It was white theater, and I just didn't know.
I'm a graduate of Baltimore School for the Arts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? I knew black plays existed. Like, I did an August Wilson play, Joe Turner's Coming On at Vagabond, before I went to BSA, so I knew black plays existed. But my 4 years there, we ain't read no fucking black play.
But imagine had you not had any connections to the art scene here in Baltimore, and you just went to the School of the Arts, and you only did what they put on your table to do. So imagine that happening versus all of you all who have been at arena plays and had connections with other people that are like, hey, I think you should do this over here. I think you got some time there. Like, just imagine that. And that was my experience. So me going to Coppin was a culture shock to me. I don't know if you remember Amini.
Yeah. So
imagine having a man in a friar's robe teaching you theater and then meeting Amini. That's literally going from Catholicism to Africa. Not even a religion, Africa.
Just there.
And that was such a cultural shock to me, because I had to, I think one of the first plays I was in that Amini directed was Amen Corner. So she did not get that I didn't know black gospel music. That wasn't a thought in her mind. Like, why don't you know these songs? Well, we don't sing it like that over here. Like, in me even telling her the difference, like in a Catholic church, we have a lectern. We don't even bring a Bible to church. We have a lectern which has all the verses and all the things that we're going to learn for that year here. Like, just not understanding people's culture, and I went the opposite way. So me understanding what it was, and now I won't even do pieces that don't speak to me, even if it's not from my culture. The theme in it has to speak to me. It has to speak to what I want, what I enjoy, what's important to me. And I don't think we get that in terms of how our art is then seen by the masses.
Well, then let's be proactive. So let's start going out to these shows, be it music, singing and dancing and theater, and let's start setting the foundation on what a critic should do. What is the futuristic foundation of how critics should be criticizing art, not grading, but giving insight on the pieces that they have seen.
And I agree, and that's something that I want to begin to do here. I'm not gonna say I didn't know how to do it, but I'm like, am I gonna break into that market of predominantly white critics and change how people see art and how they view it and who gets access. Because to me, I would be
yes, because who else?
A marketing standpoint. Because I've seen non-black plays include black topic matter, but won't come out to black shows. Like, how do you know the art? And their research is
white
based
theater
on
companies
history
that
only
have
research.
black actors who are dueling, like who are doing their shows and in these predominantly black company shows, and they still won't support their own actors.
Or that's the only reason they'll go out to if this person is on my cast and they invite me to come see that. That's the only reason I've seen it. Or my good friend Roz, she's friends with a lot of other directors that will come to see her play at Arena Players. But when you see those, or if Rapid Lemon does a production there, or Rock Opera Society, they have a connection there, they'll only come see those plays. Or if this person is directing. Just like I remember being at Arena Players, and I knew critics would come there, but certain critics only came to see Amini shows. And I would see that, and I'm like, well, why don't you come to see the rest of the shows? They're just as good. I mean, they're not Amini shows, I'm just gonna say that. But they were just as good.
Did you disagree?
I mean, Amini was the best director that place had.
How do you know that?
Well, because I saw all the rest of the shows.
Yeah, so you were able to grade by comparison, right?
Well, grade based on her technique, not on the value of her actors, because it was the same actors. But it was just the connection and the continuity of the pieces.
Okay.
That's what I saw happening. I mean, it's no shade. Do you think you got a favorite director down there?
No. Maybe
Ross is coming in second.
I will say this.
Then Randall.
When it comes to grading the art, I would say grading art is very appreciative when it comes to a mentor and his mentee. Robert Chu.
Robert Chu.
I will give him.
See, I met him only as an actor. I didn't meet him, but that was youth theater, right?
No, that was what play was that? I forgot.
But didn't he predominantly work with the youth theater?
Yeah.
So I didn't really.
But I liked him because he was an asshole.
Right.
He was very harsh. He took my part away. Told me I couldn't sing. Told me I couldn't act.
But he also told you what you could do.
He didn't say much of what I could do.
Okay.
But I appreciate the hardship because it kept me focused.
Yeah. Amini treated you like you was a dude, like, and would fight you. Amini's directing style was like Della Reese in what's the name of the movie that she did with Red Fox and Harlem Nights. So that was Amini's directing style.
Oh, you want to shoot me?
Right.
Pinky toe.
She will go head to toe with you and know that she's going to win and treat you like and give you a grandma hug at the end. But we're going to take a quick commercial break because I think I'm about to melt in this room and these lights are hot, making it hot. So we're going to take a quick commercial break.
We were at a white radio station. I was kidding.
They wouldn't be as good. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. They will give you orders.
Yeah, Amini directed me for Joe Turner.
Okay. At Couser?
No.
You're now listening to BeExposedRadio.com. Check out this fire flashback.
We need to relearn what it is to be these bosses and how we conduct ourselves as business-minded individuals and just people in general. I let my gut, and if I call it gut or God or whatever, I'm led by that energy. I know where it comes from. I know where it's, taking me, and you have to figure out what is important to you, and don't play this game. It's a game that we've learned to play, this chess game, and life is not a chess game. Life is real, bones, flesh, blood, decisions.
Make sure you check out the Artist Exchange Show every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Long live Pop. Y'all can go ahead and cry now. I'ma show these niggas what to do with one of your beats, man. gas, by the way.
Strong woman story should have been on CNN. Nobody knows what it's like being Gwen. Windows closed in the house, it ain't no CNN. Can't gain weight for years, she been being thin. Single mother, no help from the system. When they was giving out food stamps, she missed them. Birth certificate, baby daddy, she couldn't list them. But her son was so beautiful when she kissed him. Blame it on love, but nigga she could've died with. Destroyed the whole world and found out she was a side chick. The nigga loved his wife and it got hard to hide it. So when Gwen confronted him, he ain't even denied it. Her fault, depends on who you asking. She tried to be a stripper, but the tip out was taxing. Buying all the purses, trying to keep up with the fashion. And her mama hated babysitting with a passion. She deserved better circumstances. A black queen, she should've been blessed with certain chances. Looked down upon, getting all of hurting glances. Making men change up all the twerking stances. She never cried about the pain, only gritted her teeth.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
I am your co-host, Brother Noah, and look who we have here.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, Blue Waters, a.k.a. The Cat.
With 2 T's and a K, damn it.
That's right, Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty Cat. Miss Kitty Cat was rubbing on me. I think she had heat.
You know what? It's this weather. I'm going to say something. And I am a part of the beard gang.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a beard fan. I'm not a part of the beard gang, but I'm a beard fan. And here's this nice. Don't hide it. Ladies, don't you love it when a man got all this? Oh God, Lord. Oh Lord. I just feel myself percolating.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
it's time for the percolator. So Blue, we were talking about critics in Baltimore City, and essentially the question was, do you think you can grade art? Not the technique, not the overall production value, but just like the art itself, the essence of what the audience can grab from it, what they can take away from it. Can that be graded?
So I'm going to ask, my answer is yes, and I'm going to say yes if there's a barometer. If you're comparing it to something else, right? Then, like if you're looking at soul music compared to a soul artist, and you're saying I'm comparing this artist to that artist, then yes, you can measure it because but it's biased, and so you really can't get a true good analysis because you are comparing it to someone that you may already be biased about. So if you say for instance, if I'm listening to an artist, any artist, and I'm comparing it to Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle is going to win in my book because what I'm going to do is I'm comparing it to everything Patti LaBelle is instead of who this artist is. Right. So I'm not looking at them individually. But now if you're talking about art as individually, then no. Because an artist expresses themselves uniquely, and you have to be able to allow them to do that. And so if you're comparing that to, like, you can never compare Michael Jackson to Prince, those two different artists. Now you may listen to their music and say I have a preference for this over that, but as artists, they were two different artists.
So so what are you saying? You can't grade the art, or you can?
So it's kind of, you can, but also you can't. It's like right there. If you're looking at them as individuals, you can. Right. Because it's like, well, how can you really look at them and say, this is art, this is not art, this is their expression. So what may not be art to you is an artistic expression to them. Yeah. But if I'm comparing it to another artist,
I got you.
Then yes, I can measure it. I can look at it. No, I can't necessarily measure their art. I wouldn't say art. I would say their technique, their
singing
talent.
Style.
Not necessarily. So I'm gonna say I'm not recanting, but I'm gonna say I'm on the side of no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So our wonderful host Nate was saying on the local level, critics grading the art form, especially when it comes just to black bodies and black theater here, it can be dangerous because a lot of these critics are predominantly white and they predominantly grade art for the general audience members, so that's cutting a lot of access and promotion for black theater. What is your take on that?
I agree. I think that when you have a biased perspective grading, then it tends to kind of, it's more of a detriment. It's not actually helpful. I think that if they, and especially if they're not really aware, you know, if they're not necessarily aware of where you're operating from, and you know, you culturally, there are a lot of factors that play into that, and I think that if they don't have, when they're grading, you have to question what are they comparing it to? What are they measuring it? So are you measuring it based off of your own expertise? Are you comparing it to someone else? And you know, what are you grading me on? So yeah, I agree.
Gotcha.
I definitely agree.
I smell a little like Old Spice.
Well, I did happen to run past one of your church members.
Oh wow. So we're back. But I agree with what you all are saying. I just wish we get to a different place here where we can be more balanced, but it's going to take us taking hold of. And that actually, I'm glad we did get on the idea of how we could help with that. And we have done that a lot on the Artist Exchange where people invite us out to shows, but I want to start going to more shows.
To critique?
To critique and maybe give some more insight that's not off.
So we don't want to use the word critique. If we're going to change the ideology of you can't grade art, then the new foundation would be it's not a critique, it's more giving insight onto it.
As for me, it would be more of a marketing tool, helping people, but it's us uncovering things that you don't normally talk about when it comes to work of color.
And just to correct me if I'm wrong, so do you perceive critique as criticism?
That's what it's being done now. It's criticism.
Okay, because I see it as two different things.
Right, but it's being used simultaneously now.
So for me, that's why I want to understand where you were coming from, because for me, critiquing is empowering. It's not necessarily to tear you down. It is actually to enhance you. So you're giving feedback, positive feedback, so that you can.
But constructive criticism normally comes from creative peers or director or mentor. When it comes from a critic, they are judging or they're grading the entire production. Either it's from the production value, the talent, the acting, the singing.
Now that's the thing. Do those critics have a background in that art?
They don't.
And that's the problem.
They don't. Right. They are audience-based.
Criticism turns into a critique.
But now I will say this: you do want to get the fans or their perspective.
Absolutely.
So if a critic is coming from the perspective of an artist, the audience, then you do want to get that feedback.
Absolutely.
But it still can be biased because they are going to infuse their own personal.
So the problem is the majority of Baltimore-based critics are audience-based.
Yes. And that could be problematic only because if you don't do this on a regular basis, you have nothing to really balance this off of. And the problem is a lot of the critics that we have here in this city, they do go out to the shows often. They are invited out to the shows often, but in the capacity of an audience member. I don't think that's what the person that's inviting them is intending, but that's what's happening. You're coming off as an audience member.
Right.
And I can read it in your criticism of the show because most critics, they won't necessarily only pinpoint what went wrong. They often go through with a fine-tooth comb and you'll see a really detailed article. That's a lot of writing style too, but you'll see more talking about lights and set and costumes and acting and overall, how did you feel walking into the audience? Like that to me is what I know critics to be. Not just giving scathing red X's. over a show. But why? Really sell this to somebody, because the point of them being there really is to paint a picture for a possible audience member.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with you being an audience member, but if that's where it stops, if you don't step your writing game up and really begin to paint a picture, because their job is just as valuable as, say, the actor or the technician or the producer's job, because they are really in a space where they have to really paint pictures for somebody to want to come see this,
And
not
maybe
necessarily painting the picture so they don't want to come see it.
And maybe it's the perception of the critic itself. I want to see, and then I will be much more mindful of this when it comes to my research in it, but I want to see how these same critics would judge a play at the Arena Players versus the Hippodrome, or Single Carrot versus Everyman. Like, how do those...
I'll tell you, because I read a lot of critics. Well, if I'm in a show, I don't normally read reviews.
Yeah.
I don't normally read them, because I think what happens is, as actors, we begin to play to what the critic says and not what our director prepares for.
But that's isn't that a conditioning? A lot of times people are conditioned to look to what the critics' their perception.
You should not read it, or you shouldn't read it if you can't keep up the continuity of what you're doing. I've seen actors read a criticism and the show is totally different that night. And that is, you're messing up other actors, you're messing up sound cues, you're messing up all the things. Now this show is horrible because you was reading it up from a critic that came on preview night for free. So you're going to mess up this whole show because of an audience member's perspective. And I say mess up because you're messing up technical things. Instead of me entering on this side, I'm going to enter on that side. Because they said it wasn't balanced with the entries and exits, or,
Well,
you're creating
that's just an asshole of an actor. Like, if you're changing little things like character development, like, all right, I'm not going to smile at this moment, that's fine. But if you change your whole blocking and shit, well, calm the fuck down.
If you change anything and if the director hasn't come together,
trying to gobble on those balls of the.
But that's not a lot, and I don't know what that represents. But I'm saying, even if it's a small, I'm not gonna walk stage right, I'm gonna walk stage left, something really small, that's still messing up the continuity if the director hasn't looked at that and said, you know what, I think we should rethink this. And we've had directors that came to a consensus and brought us all together, or gave us individual notes and let us know, well, I want you to try this.
So I think it impacts everyone, critics impact the directors, critics impact the actors. So I think it's just a matter of getting. I don't know what the standard is on critics or anything like that, but if you have a critic that's just an audience member as opposed to a critic that is an actual artist, it looks different. And I believe that an actual artist might actually be a lot more harsher. Because
they will. So I don't want actors turning into critics, but if you can
be like,
right, exactly, because they wasn't in it, or they didn't get the role. Like, I've seen that happen.
You don't sound like this.
Yeah.
You don't look like this.
Dude, you don't have that talent. You don't have that.
Right, but they chopping you for that. You do not walk. Chop.
But that's, and the reason I want to take part in it, and I honestly, I don't know if you all have heard of Band Oracle, but I like the way they do it, because you don't know. You learn, you start learning, you've done enough shows and critics come out, you kind of can tell, oh, that's that person, that's that person, that's that. Because you can tell by their reaction, and then when you see the writing, then you know. But I want to do the anonymous thing, which is going to be very expensive. But I would really enjoy seeing the difference. And maybe us just coming together and saying, well, what did you see versus what did you see? And then writing something.
Maybe if we twerk it right, we can get a... maybe if we twerk it right, we can get a grant from BOPA and make that a thing, so they can help us with this thing. Yes. I will write that thing.
But yeah, so
get on your job.
I didn't come today. I didn't come from that perspective of just complaining, but I'm physically being able to live in different worlds and see how not only other people see our work, but how our work is not valued and put on the same level as our urgency to go see or to even take seriously how we have all these grants now and they're going to the same people or the same types of people, and one black person is being able to get through at a time because they don't see our work as profitable. And once we water down our work or start doing it the way they doing it, then we're taking seriously.
And I just want to add on to this because we were saying earlier, Miss Kitty Cat, that
don't you like how he says Miss Kitty Cat?
That a lot of our black actors really have an identity crisis when it comes to seeing this value in their own work and their own black directors and black producers trying to do things versus others. So the Pennsylvania Avenue has just been deemed now the Black Arts District, meaning that if you were to buy or open up a business in that strip and it is producing art, you would get like a tax credit or whatever the hell that works.
Who's in charge of that?
But is that because that's what it was historically?
Yeah, that was the first art district.
So where I'm getting at is, what are we about to do about that? Are we going to allow the same entities that have been getting the same old grants to do there what they did to North Avenue?
Is in charge, and there's going to be white puppet masters. That's the reality of what I see. I'm not saying that that's what's actually going to happen.
When hasn't it been that way?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So now we have an area designated that's being redesignated. So
but
what we do, and
again, this goes to my old premise, is that we have to be more involved in our own stuff, and we have to, we are allowing others to do that, so it's not as though they're just coming and taking it. No, we're setting it up for them to do whatever it is that they choose to do there.
Absolutely. So what we call it, Arts District, the Station North Arts District. For a long time, arena players sit outside of that. They could have simply said, we're going to redistrict this and we're going to include them. It took them creating a Bromo Arts District and somebody saying, okay, so we can include them. But they still had to include them because it was just going to go up that Howard Street corridor. And it was the craziest thing. So now they're considered. So now they can get grants.
But again, like I was saying, for us as people of color, when it comes to the arts, one, we have to be a lot more supportive of one another, and we are not. One, we have to look at it, and we can't compare ourselves to anything but ourselves, which we often do, and when we think of the artists that we compare ourselves to, or the critics that we look to give us any validation, those they tend not to look like us, and we take their opinions of us more seriously. So my thing is that we need to be more invested in ourselves and hold that as a standard. Like, look, really be supportive of one another.
But on the contrary to that, Miss Kitty Cat, theater companies that are black owned are black businesses, and black people have a hard time supporting black businesses as a period. So be it a theater company or not, and God forbid we go to that theater company and they don't have that air conditioning on, or they forgot that ticket stub. Well, just like if that black restaurant didn't get your barbecue sauce on the ribs, you won't be back there.
They had an air on. I'm gonna cut them out the same way.
But I see what he's saying. I think that, and granted, I will say that it is about quality, and I'm going to say something that a lot of black people will not like to hear. Is that sometimes you half-ass quality, and when you half-ass quality, you get half-ass. Not all, I'm just saying, but sometimes.
To piggyback on that, I've been in environments that were not black owned, and they had the same piss poor quality that the black theater house
a million times. But what happens is in the United States of America, being black, you're judged double. Twice as much. So, and when you're competing, you have to compete twice as hard. So when you are lacking in quality, you're going to be, and it's usually not it's not, people, it's not white people. It's usually us that are criticizing our own harshly. I did just talk over.
We're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. No, but...
Did you just call me a bitch?
Hey, there's my son. You've been in your room all morning.
Hey, Dad.
Matt, what's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Oh, well, it's just sort of.
I have been playing my video games and electronic games for so many hours.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds like it might be time for you to take a break, or...
Hello, Dad.
Susan?
I have been watching TV and text messaging all morning. Yay, electronics. Yay, yay, yay.
Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and take a little trip. Maybe see some trees, some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Get out to the forest and discover the wonders of nature with your family, just like Blue, Jewel, and the whole Rio flock.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah! Woo-hoo!
Let's rock this jungle.
Yeah!
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning!
Clean water.
Woohoo! This is great!
And endless surprises.
Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So when you get to the corner of Smith and Orchard... You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
The last segment of the show, and we were getting into the last segment, the idea of black businesses versus non-black business, and this how we take things seriously. And one of the things that I noticed for black businesses, we try to outdo competition from day one. That's the problem that I see. So the money doesn't go into quality, it goes into the quantity. That is seen as the quality. So we gotta get everything, gotta look good, it gotta smell good, it gotta be the best, and we take the money from what we want to be the quality of our content and the quality of our service, because then we start hiring people for less money because we just spent all our damn money on making it look good. And I think that's what our problem is. Because then when we go into a nice looking space and the quality of the environment doesn't match what it's said to be, then we question and shit.
Right.
And I'm a stickler for customer service. I don't give a fuck whether I'm going into this store or what color the person is. If I get piss poor service, I'm not going there anymore. Shout out to my Google Plus Maps page. Just look at your Google comments, because I do leave comments for people. And I leave my information so you can contact me and cuss me out, as one person did. But other than that, yeah. And what I noticed non-black businesses are doing is they don't work on the quality of what it looks like. They build that over time. And they put their work and their money into the quality of your experience.
But that's how we've been conditioned to be. Right. We've been conditioned to compete with one another as opposed to coming together as a collective and, building a strong foundation of a united front and saying, you know what, let's build some equity, let's build some financial independence amongst our own. But we're so busy tearing one another down instead of saying, you know what, let's come to the table and let's begin to build and compromise. And that's a skill. Not everyone has it, because everyone has an ego and everyone wants to be number one.
So I think on the next Friday show, I think I'm going to switch shows and really focus on black business and really focus on, because we had that same argument with, say, a black-owned nail shop. I don't go to black-owned nail shops.
Why?
One, because I'm not paying $70 for a manicure pedicure. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not going to do that. And the reason you have to charge so much is because you're paying retail for all your supplies versus going to all the other black-owned salons and beauty shops and saying, hey, can we order our stuff together like the Asians do? So the price of our overhead goes down a little bit, so we don't have to charge our customer $70 for a manicure pedicure. I'm not saying that my experience will be better, because I cuss out my nail tech every 2 weeks when I go, because she gives me piss poor service because I'm a dude.
But you still go. Why you still go there?
What do you mean by still go?
You say you every 2 weeks you cuss this one individual out. Why do you still go there if they're giving you piss poor service?
If the black nail salon had my price range, I would do the same thing for them. Me cussing you out doesn't mean that I'm not going to support you.
Yeah.
I go to black-owned restaurants and I'll cuss the customer
So no, what I'm saying is
back.
that, so what's keeping you from going to the black-owned?
I'm not paying $70.
It's the price, not the quality.
Quality, yes, because the quality, how can I say it?
So, I mean, really.
But if it was the same price, you would still go regardless of quality.
Well, the one thing with black-owned nail shops, they don't do feet. So
not all of, I mean, but there is some. First of all, I don't go. Miss Kitty don't go to nobody's shops. I have someone comes out and do me like a woman supposed to be done.
Who is this person?
Angel with the dragon tattoo. Hey.
And what does her price range look like?
She's very reasonable. Very reasonable. She does makeup. Yeah, well, I don't know about now. She does makeup. Now you talking about feet and pedicures.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to go here to get this, go here to get this. It's a one-stop center. Like, think about what your person has to do.
But is it good quality that you were paying for? Now my thing is, I will pay for quality. If it's a good service, I will pay for it. But if it's poor service, if it's comparable to some other trashy vendor, I'm not going to go there.
But I won't go there, but I won't give up. Like, if I hear somebody say, yeah, such and such got way better, I'll try it again.
So now for me with black businesses, what I will do and what I suggest everyone do is, I suggest you give them your feedback. Because what happens is, and I'm telling black businesses, accept the feedback, because sometimes it's not to tear you down. It is to.
And we're often as a restaurant, and I'm speaking more for restaurants, we're eating your shit. We're taking part in your product or your service. So we should be the ones, and I'm not somebody that's going to just tell you what to do.
Right.
But I think we finished. So we're gonna take this conversation to Monday, so we'll be back here bright and early on Monday. Same time, same place, so don't go anywhere. Next up is the Cocktail Social. That's it right there.
It's the Cocktail Social.
That's what I just said.
Yes, you did, and I'm so proud of you.
Fuck it up next week, right?
Oh my God, fucked it up 4 weeks before.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Saturday 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com. I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a